Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your favorite high school tutor, and today I will be reviewing the Algebra Regents so you can pass with confidence. One key thing on the Regents is solving linear equations. Now you can take a second to pause the video and try to solve it yourself, or just wait for me to explain it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to subtract 5 because you can't divide the 3 in front of the x while there's still another term. So you're going to have 3x equals 15. You will then be able to divide by 3 to get x by itself, which is the overall goal, which leads to x equals 5, which is your final solution. Here's a Regents tip. If you're asked for a solution, check your answer by plugging it in back into the equation. Inequalities. This is a pretty difficult topic on the Regents until you understand it, and then you realize it's pretty much just a fancy system of equations. Again, I'll give you a second if you want to solve it by yourself. Okay, here's a key rule. Flip the sign only when dividing or multiplying by a negative number. So I'm going to divide by -2, which is a negative. So I will flip the sign. So we're going to have x. It would have been x is greater than -4, but instead it's going to be x is less than -4 because I had to flip the sign. Graphing tip. If the circle's open, that's going to be less than or greater than. If the circle is closed or you make it closed, that's for less than or equal to or greater than equal to. Remember that because that's a key thing on the Regents. Slope. This is super important. This is a key point in algebra and will be on the Regents a bunch. So the formula is m, which is the slope, equals y2. That's your second y value, minus y1, that's your first y value, and divided by x2, which is your second x value, and x1, which is your first x value. Now, it doesn't matter which one is y2 and x2 and y1 and x1, as long as the same set is the second one for both times. And then you're going to plug in your values, and then you're just going to solve it using division, multiplication, addition. Interpretation, if the slope is positive, being a positive number, your line is going to go up. If the slope is negative, it's going to go down. And if the slope ends up being 0, that's just a flat line across. Slope-intercept form. So the formula is mx plus b. So what you do to get this, m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, which is where the line crosses the y-axis. So the solution is going to be the slope is -3, as it's the value in front of the x, being the m value, and the y-intercept is 4, which is the b value, so which could also be written as 0.04. The Regents loves asking what is the slope, what is the y-intercept, so you just need to know that it's as simple as that. System of equations. So this is where it gets a little more complicated, but as long as you know the rules, it's pretty simple. So there's 3 ways you can solve a problem like this: graphing, substitution, or elimination, which is the most common one, so I'll show that. So you're going to add the equations. So x2 equals 14. You get this because the two x's combine to be 2x, and y minus y is 0, so there's no y, and then 10 plus 4 is 14. So you then divide by 2 and you get x equals 7. So then you're going to plug the x equals 7 back into the original equation of x plus y equals 10 to get y equals -3 times 7, which is -21, plus 4, meaning y equals 3. No, I'm sorry, that is not right. You're going to get y equals -7 plus 4, which is 3. I'm sorry for that. So the solution is going to be an x, y point, in this case 7, 3. You will thank yourself later if you master this topic because it gets much more complex in future math, so make sure you know it really well. Word problems. Money, rate, age. These problems seem really intimidating at first when you realize that they're just math in disguise and you just need to interpret what the problems ask you. So tickets cost $5 for students and $10 for adults. 20 tickets total is $170. So here's your strategy. You're going to define the variables. So decide what the letters are going to represent. Write your equations. Then you're going to solve and answer in words. If the problem is in words, your answer needs to be in words. So you're going to write the equation. So I chose the variables S and A for students and adults. I like using the first letter. That's up to you. So S plus A, the number of students plus adults, is 20 for the 20 tickets. And then 5S, which is the cost, $5 for student tickets, plus 10A, $10 for adult tickets, is 170, which is the total ticket cost. So then you're going to substitute. Subtract S. A equals negative S plus 20. Then 5S plus 10. And then in replacement of A, that's where you're adding the negative S plus 20, which equals 170. So then you're going to add and get one of your values. So you're going to go 5S minus 10S, negative 5S, plus 200, which you're going to subtract from 170. So you're going to get negative 5S equals negative 30. At first that seems wrong, but then you realize when you divide by the negative, you get S equals 6, which is positive. So that means you're going to have 6 student tickets. Then you're going to plug in that 6 back in the original equation of S plus A equals 20. So you're going to have 6 plus A equals 20, meaning A is 14. So now you have both your values. Now this is where you interpret it and answer in words. So if A is 14 and S is 6, that means that 6 student tickets and 14 adult tickets will cost $170. So make sure you remember your variables. When solving, always choose an answer that makes sense. Let's say you got an answer like 100. You know that can't be correct because of based on how many tickets there are. Just make sure you're using your common sense. Or like there can't be a negative number of tickets in real life. So just keep that in mind. Here's some Regents test tips. These are super important. Make sure you show your work even on multiple choice questions. That way, when you go back over your answers at the end of the test, it's really easy for you to see what you did and how to get your answer. Make sure you box your final answers. Regents proctors do not want to be going through all your answers, searching through all your work to find your answer. They will just mark it wrong. So make sure you box your final answer. And units matter, especially for word problems. It doesn't count 50 what? 50 minutes, $50, 50 hours, 50 miles. Those are very different things, and those are very important to differentiate when giving your answer. Now, don't round unless you're told otherwise. You could have the perfect answer, but if you round it wrong, then your answer is wrong. It might seem right, but it was only by 0.1 of a point. Still wrong. So don't round unless they tell you to round to the 10th, 100th. And don't forget to flip the inequality. I had a big problem with this before I was taking the Regents, but once I realized it was as simple as dividing, multiplying by negative, flip the sign, it helped me eliminate a lot of simple mistakes. And you do not need to be perfect to pass. Partial credit is a really key part of the Regents, and as long as you know your basics and you're confident in yourself, you can do this. Thank you. I hope you try some practice problems.